The day my mom died, my entire world was shattered. Since then, there's been so much focus on how she died that it's overshadowed who she was as a person. I am Natasha Gregson Wagner, and my mom was Natalie Wood.
She had it all: an award-winning career, critical acclaim, adoring fans, and a golden life under the spotlight. And yet, her story ended not in triumph, but in tragedy, adrift in the cold waters off Catalina Island. Natalie Wood was one of Hollywood's brightest stars, celebrated for her beauty, vulnerability, and raw talent. But behind the glamour was a devoted mother. When she died, she left behind not only a legacy, but 2 daughters. This is the story of Natasha Gregson Wagner and Courtney Wagner, and what became of Natalie Wood's children. She was one of Hollywood's brightest stars, known for her beauty, talent, and the tragic mystery that still surrounds her death. But what happened to the 2 daughters Natalie Wood left behind? In this video, we uncover the lives of Natasha Gregson Wagner and Courtney Wagner, 2 women shaped by fame, loss, and resilience. Natalie Wood was born Natalia Nikolaevna Zakharenko in 1938 to Russian immigrant parents in San Francisco. Her path to stardom began almost by chance when a film crew came to her hometown of Santa Rosa to shoot a movie. At just 4 years old, Natalie was brought to the attention of director Irving Pichel, who was captivated by her photogenic presence and expressive demeanor. With her mother's encouragement, Natalie soon landed her first uncredited role, and by age 7, she earned her breakout part in Miracle on 34th Street, winning hearts as the precocious Susan Walker. Natalie Wood began acting at age 4 and captivated audiences early with her role in Miracle on 34th Street. As a teenager, she stepped into more mature roles, earning her first Academy Award nomination at just 17 for Rebel Without a Cause, a film that cemented her image as the voice of a troubled generation. She followed this with acclaimed performances in Splendor in the Grass, where she portrayed a young woman grappling with repression and heartbreak, and in West Side Story, where she became Maria, the doomed romantic heroine. Her performance in Love with the Proper Stranger earned her another Oscar nomination, confirming her ability to bring sensitivity and raw emotion to the screen. Her acting career thrived, but behind the scenes, Natalie was romantically linked to some of Hollywood's most famous men. As a teenager, she briefly dated Elvis Presley, though their connection fizzled quickly. She also shared a short but intense relationship with actor Dennis Hopper, another rising star of the era. Perhaps her most turbulent romance was with Warren Beatty, her co-star in Splendor in the Grass. Their chemistry was electric, but Beatty's serial infidelity ended what could have been a long-term union. Still, the experience added a layer of emotional realism to their on-screen performances. The most significant relationship in Natalie's life, though, was with Robert Wagner. She first noticed Wagner when she was just 10 years old, telling her mother, "I'm going to marry him." That childhood fantasy became reality when they wed in 1957. At the time, she was at the height of her fame, and Wagner's star was also rising. But the demands of their careers and life under constant public scrutiny led to their divorce in 1962. In 1969, Natalie married British producer Richard Gregson. She had 1 child with him, Natasha Gregson Wagner, born in 1970. Professionally, she balanced motherhood with film and television roles, though she gradually stepped back from leading lady status. By 1972, her marriage to Gregson had ended, and later that same year she remarried Robert Wagner. The couple seemed stronger and more grounded the second time around. Natalie focused on raising her family and selectively returned to acting, including roles in The Cracker Factory and Brainstorm, the latter becoming her final film. In 1974, Natalie gave birth to her second daughter, Courtney. With her family complete and her career entering a new phase, she seemed poised to enjoy a more peaceful chapter. But that peace would not last. On the evening of November 28, 1981, Natalie Wood boarded the yacht Splendor for what was meant to be a peaceful weekend off Catalina Island. With her were her husband Robert Wagner, her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain, Dennis Davern. But what began as a seemingly intimate getaway unraveled into one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. That night, tension boiled below deck. Reports later revealed a heated argument between Wagner and Walken, possibly about Natalie's career or her close working relationship with Walken. Captain Davern would later claim Wagner was drunk and jealous, and that something dark transpired after Natalie retreated to her cabin. And if you are into classic Hollywood icons, amazing stories, and newly discovered insights, then hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and your support will mean a lot to our channel. In the early hours of November 29th, Natalie was missing. Her body was found hours later, floating in the water a mile from the boat. She was clothed in a flannel nightgown, socks, and a down jacket. The yacht's dinghy was discovered nearby, beached and unused. The official cause of death? Accidental drowning. But questions mounted quickly. Natalie had a lifelong fear of dark water. Why would she leave the boat alone in the middle of the night? And how did she end up in the ocean with fresh bruises on her arms, legs, and face? For decades, the case remained officially closed, but whispers never stopped. In 2011, based on new statements from Davern and forensic analysis, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation. Davern alleged Wagner delayed reporting Natalie missing and discouraged calling for help. A revised autopsy cited undetermined factors alongside drowning, and the bruises on her body were no longer considered easily explained. By 2018, Robert Wagner was named a person of interest. No charges were filed, but the court of public opinion stirred anew. Investigators admitted inconsistencies still existed in the original testimonies. To this day, the truth remains elusive. Was it a tragic accident or something more sinister? The fog of celebrity, secrecy, and sorrow still clings to the final hours of Natalie Wood's life. In the days and weeks following Natalie Wood's death, public attention fixated on the mystery surrounding her final hours. But behind closed doors, 2 young daughters were left motherless. Natasha Gregson Wagner, just 11 years old, was the daughter of Natalie and British producer Richard Gregson. Courtney Wagner was only 7, Natalie's only child with Robert Wagner. Despite the whispers and media frenzy, there was no public custody battle. In a quiet and deeply personal decision, both girls remained with Robert Wagner, who was granted full custody of Courtney and became the primary guardian for Natasha as well. Natasha's biological father, Richard Gregson, reportedly supported this arrangement, believing it was in her best interest to stay in the home she had always known, with her sister, her stepfather, and her grandmother Maria. The family tried to retreat from the glare of the media. They formed a close-knit household in Los Angeles, where Natasha and Courtney were raised alongside Wagner's daughter from a previous marriage, Katie Wagner. Despite the undercurrent of public suspicion aimed at Wagner, the children described a home filled with structure, support, and love. Natasha, in particular, remained devoted to honoring her mother's legacy. She pursued acting in the 1990s, with roles in indie hits like Two Girls and a Guy, High Fidelity, and Lost Highway. But as she matured, her focus shifted. In 2020, she produced the deeply personal HBO documentary Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, offering an intimate portrait of her mother's life and publicly defending Wagner from long-standing accusations. She is now married to actor Barry Watson and has a daughter, Clover, continuing the Wood-Wagner family story into a new generation when her mother died. Too young to fully understand what had happened, but old enough to feel the absence. In the years that followed, Courtney grew up in the protective care of Robert Wagner and her grandmother Maria, surrounded by a family trying to maintain stability amid the long shadow of loss. Unlike her sister Natasha, Courtney chose a life largely away from the spotlight. She didn't pursue acting, nor did she engage much with the media during her formative years. But her life hasn't been untouched by public scrutiny. In 2012, she was arrested in connection with a drug-related incident. The charges were eventually dropped, but the headlines reignited public curiosity about the daughter of Natalie Wood. Courtney later spoke out, revealing that she had long struggled with anxiety and addiction, emotional wounds she connected to the trauma of losing her mother so suddenly and so publicly. She described feeling like she was born into a storm, a legacy of whispers and speculation that made trust and peace difficult to find. Yet she's also spoken about the quiet strength she drew from her mother's memory and the unwavering support of her family. In 2020, Courtney launched a podcast called Partners in Crime. It was her way of reclaiming her voice. Through candid conversations with others who have experienced trauma and grief, she's opened up about her own process of healing, self-discovery, and forgiveness. The podcast became a platform not just for storytelling, but for rebuilding her own narrative, one rooted in resilience rather than tragedy. Today, Courtney continues her journey on her own terms. She doesn't seek attention, but she does seek meaning. And in doing so, she honors her mother in a way that's entirely her own. Despite the controversy surrounding Natalie's death and renewed media scrutiny in recent years, both daughters have remained close to Robert Wagner. He raised them with love and stability, and both women have publicly defended him against speculation tied to their mother's passing. For Natasha and Courtney, Wagner is not just a Hollywood icon, he's dad. Natalie Wood's death may forever be shrouded in mystery, but her daughters have spent their lives making peace with the past. Natasha has become a steward of her mother's legacy, while Courtney continues her quiet journey of healing and advocacy. Together, they are a testament to resilience, family, and the enduring power of love. Though Natalie Wood's life ended too soon, her daughters carry her spirit forward. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true stories from Hollywood's past.